Now we've gone through the sort of detail of what's on the exam and sort of the expectations and little tricks to look for. It's now time to start revision. So how you do that is different. It totally depends on your school, how many weeks you have in term 4, what did you do in term 3, what did your teacher give you for the holidays. But my advice for our students based on our timetable is to do the following. During the holidays they get given exam materials, and I think for us anyway, the first 3 weeks of term 3 are at school. And then after that, you get 1 or maybe 2, depending on the year, weeks at home to revise. So it all depends on when accounting is in the timetable. So what I think you do is in term 4, week 1, we do VCAR exam booklet revision. So what we mean by that is we're not doing actual exams, we're revising each topic. And we put those in VCAR booklets. So that could just be, you might have one booklet to revise on depreciation, one booklet to revise on ledgers, one booklet to revise on product versus period costing and so on. And it's all about note taking and learning the whole topic, or not learning, relearning the topic again. So it's not about doing practice exams one after the other sort of mindlessly and not learning anything. Make sure you learn each topic in detail, and then once we've done that, we can now start to do some practice exams. So in that second week, I'd start doing practice exams, but I'd be doing them open book. And the reason why is I'd be using the notes you've been making over the holidays and in that first week back. I also think timing, well, we want to get there, but we don't want to be stressing ourselves for 120 minutes every single time. We'll burn out if we do that. So I think don't worry about timing too much at this point. If you're going to time, maybe time individual questions. So I'm going to do question 8. This should take 12 minutes. Try and do that. Maybe don't do 120 minutes in a row. Then we'll get to week 3, and again I think you maybe have open book. That's probably up to you, but now I think is in that third week, probably when you start wanting to start doing timed papers. Then depending on your school, we mightn't see you again. So now is when you really knuckle down and you start doing closed book exams and timed, and you finish that as well. So you can see there's a nice progression. You go from getting your notes and your revision solid before you touch a single practice exam. Do your practice exams, but maybe use your notes while you're doing them and update them if you learn something new. And then in that last 2 weeks, get stuck into actual sort of match practice, actually doing the exam at the exact time that it will be of that day. So check your exam schedule, and also doing it within the 120 minutes. Also practice reading time, that's really important. I've got one of the early videos mentioned that it's important to get reading time right. Well, the best way to do that is to practice. Recommended order of practice exams, so there's 1,000 out there. So my advice is you do the VCAR papers first. They're the best revision there are because they're the actual exams from previous years. Personally, my belief is that the compact exams are the next best. They're written by teachers for teachers, and the people that write them are all current teachers. And then kind of the next 3 together, I'm going to group them in one group and say Insight, CSE and NEAT, they're probably the next best. Now we're dealing with quality control. You look at previous exams in these sort of series and you see lots of mistakes. Well, these 3 don't really have many or any mistakes, so they're more reliable. And then what I'll do is group everything else in one category. I'd be reluctant to do anything but these papers here. And the reason is, the practice exams is written by businesses and written by people looking to make money. They're not written by the government. They're not written by someone necessarily teaching at the moment. They're not written by someone who knows the study design inside out. I mean, they might be. You just don't know. So often they have so many mistakes in them that they actually cause you to lose confidence and sort of make mistakes on the exam because you adjust to the wrong practice exam. So I think if you can get 3-4 exams from VCAR, Compact, Insight, CSE and NEAT, that's 20 papers right there. I mean, that's plenty. So if you do run out of exams to do, then maybe move on to everything else. So some of the other brands, but otherwise I'd just stick with the key 5 that you can see there on the screen. Before we start, so before you even do your revision, go and get the Assessors Report every year. So importantly, there's 2 things. You can see on the first page, there's general comments, and if you look at them sort of over several years, you start to see trends. So go and look at those, read it, take notes on it, figure out what the examiner said was done well, what was done poorly, and so on. And then for each question, you can see there's a mark breakdown, how did everybody go, and also a solution. So I'll get stuck into that. They're an invaluable source of feedback. They're free on the VCAR website. They tell you what was answered well, what was answered poorly, and most importantly, give you tips on how to answer questions in case you get something similar in on your exam. The best thing they have is also written examples of theory responses, which are good for you to mirror for your own responses when you're doing your practice exams.